G'day everyone and welcome to my art channel Brushes with Beck. In today's video I'm just going to be going over some of my pencils with you. I recently had a request to show how much of my pencils that I've really used in the past year. I bought these Derwent drawing pencils and this 120 set of Faber-Castell Polychromos. It wasn't a year ago, technically it was 11 months ago. But I wanted to show you how much I've used of these pencils in that time and which colours I've sort of used the most of, keeping in mind that I am primarily a wildlife and pet artist, so the colours that I use are going to vary quite a bit from people who might do still life or portraiture or a lot of floral art or botanic art. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to start with the set of Derwent drawing pencils. And if you wouldn't mind, please help support my channel by liking this video, sharing a comment down below and subscribing to my channel. Now, if you're interested in the unboxing and swatching video for these pencils, I will link that up in the cards above. You can go and check that out. But for now, let's have a look inside. So you can see that some colours are definitely much more well loved than others. These 5 colours here. So we have the Chinese white and the ivory black. They're pretty much a given. White and black are highly used no matter sort of what set you're using. And then we've got the Mars violet, which I absolutely adore because this colour is fantastic for shadows and also sometimes highlights, to be honest. It's a very versatile colour and a very unique shade that I don't have anything like it in my Polychromos set. Then we have the wheat, which is much like an ivory colour but a stronger colour. Let me get my colour swatch. So here's the colour swatch for the Derwent drawing pencils. This is the wheat colour here, so it's quite a strong sort of ivory colour. And then the 5th colour that I've used a lot is this light sienna, and that's this one here. Fantastic colour for underpainting on fur and putting in those bottom layers. A really fantastic versatile colour, that one as well. You can see I've also used a fair bit of the ink blue and some of these other blues. They're really lovely, but for the most part, I mean, these colours are certainly well worn, but certainly nowhere near to the extent of these particular 5 colours, which are much more heavily used and more versatile, and I sort of use them in every piece versus only using perhaps these in sort of every other piece kind of thing. So that's the Derwent drawing pencil. So if you're going to invest in some colours from this set, rather than buying the whole set, I highly recommend the Chinese white because it is a very opaque white, the ivory black because it's a very rich, strong black, this Mars violet colour because it is so unique, the wheat, yes, I use it a lot and yes, it's fantastic, but you could get away with an ivory from another set, but this light sienna colour is absolutely sublime. Absolutely love that one as well. So if you're going to invest in any colours from this set, probably go for those 5, and I love the blues as well. This smoke blue and is quite a lovely subtle blue colour that you don't really see in other blue sets. So it's nice to have some light blues that aren't really rich in colour. So that's the Derwent drawing pencil set. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. Let's move on to the Faber-Castell Polychromos. Now, obviously this is a set of 120, so I have a lot more options to choose from, which means in theory that individual colours have had less use. Now, straight off the bat, you can see the white has had a lot of use, as well as the ivory. Now, keeping in mind this white pencil is from my 12 set, the same with this deep Scarlet Red. There are 12 pencils in here from my set of 12 that I originally bought. I think it was maybe only 2 or 3 months prior to buying the full 120 set because I wanted to try them out first. So there's a few pencils in here from that which are more heavily used than they might otherwise be because I only had those 12 colours. And I did originally do a colour pencil drawing of my parrot, and she has a lot of red in her, so I used a lot of this red colour, which I don't think I've used much of since. So the white and the ivory are massive draws for this set. I also really like the dark indigo. That's a really nice dark blue to get some nice underlayers of some blacks. A lot of the purples, you can see here, I haven't even touched. This is out of the box sharpened, a lot of these colours. And I simply haven't used them. Same here with these reds and these sort of vibrant, bright neon yellows, I'll call them. I just don't use them because I don't do art that requires those colours. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of wildlife and I'm not dipping into these bright colours. Now, if you're doing butterflies and insects and parrots and all sorts of things, you're going to be using more of these reds, but I don't use them terribly much at all. These purples I've only used some of very recently with the flower and my burnishing video. So on to the second layer, you can see I've mainly on this set, on this layer, these two blues. We've got light ultramarine and sky blue. Both of these blues are fantastic. I use them both for shadows and highlights, so they're extremely versatile. So you might use them on shadows for pale fur, like white fur, or you could use them on highlights on dark fur, like black fur. So very valuable colours, these ones. As you can see, there's a few around the place that I've used a bit more than others. One or two of the blues and greens. This earth green I really, really love. The Caput Mortem and the Caput Mortem Violet and this green gold get a bit more use than everything else through there. But otherwise, not a very heavily used set again. A lot of these greens, like I said with the other row, I simply haven't touched, and the same with the blues, because I find I don't need them. Some of them I'm avoiding because they might have 1 star or they might only have 2 stars, and I prefer to use a similar 3-star colour. And when I'm talking about the stars, I refer to the light fast rating. So on to the final tray of this set. And you can see this tray has had a fair bit more use than the others because this is the more natural tones. And of course, doing animals, wildlife, pets, birds, and so on and so forth, I'm simply naturally going to use more natural tones, of course. So this is, obviously I've got some lovely beige reds and cinnamons here, the burnt ochres, some of those more, I will say natural yellows, I'll call them, and this wide variety of brown tones I've used so much of. This walnut brown I've used a lot of because it's a really nice dark rich brown. My warm greys are an absolute favourite, obviously. I use them a lot. And then, of course, my black in this set as well has had a lot of heavy use, along with the Payne's Grey. I haven't even touched these metallic colours because I don't really have any interest in them. And I don't think they look that great, to be honest. Maybe I might use them on an insect at some point, but I don't really feel a need to include them or a want to include them and use them. So basically showing you this is an example of why you don't necessarily need a whole set of coloured pencils, because they're going to be colours that you simply don't use. So it's been 11 months for me, and there are so many colours that I haven't used and that I probably still won't use for a while. Of course, you need to cater your pencil choices to your art. So if you're a landscape artist, you're going to want to include a lot of greens and a lot of browns and natural tones and blues for skies and that sort of thing. But if you're a wildlife artist, if you're doing backgrounds like greenery, then you're going to want some greens. But if you're just doing pet portraits and more facial studies of animals, you're not going to need this wide array of greens. So keep that in mind when you are buying pencils, that yes, the full set is wonderful, but if I'm honest with myself, I don't need the full set because I can just go through and replace colours that I use the most, and some of these greens I probably won't ever really wear down, and the same with some of the blues. I probably won't ever go through them just simply because it's not something I'm going to need long term. So something to keep in mind when you are buying colour pencils is focus on what you think you will need for your particular art style and your interests. And there are some great resources out there to help you make colour choices. I know there is a colour pencil comparison chart, I think by the artist by the name of, I think it's Karen Hull. I apologize if I've gotten that wrong. She has a chart that you can purchase that compares all of the different colour pencil brands with the colours side by side. So if you're buying multiple brands of coloured pencils, you are not buying a colour that looks essentially the same from both sets. So you can pick out, oh, I like this pink from the Polychromos, but here's this different pink from, say, the Caran d'Ache Luminance that I want, because that's not in the Polychromos set. So that's a good resource as well, so you can compare and you don't buy more than you need to, or essentially the same colours in different sets of pencils. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed this video. My apologies if it was a little bit rambly, but I hope you got something out of it. I haven't done as much art as I probably would have liked in the past 11 months, but I have done a fair amount because I am uploading videos every week, so I've worked on a lot of pieces for my YouTube videos. So my pencils have had a fairly good workout, but some people will simply go through them quicker because they're able to do more art than what I've managed in the last year. So some of them definitely need replacing and I need to order up on some colours, and others I could probably order up but it would still take me a while yet to use. So it's always good to have spares of your most used colours so that you don't get caught out when you are working on a piece and then have to wait for a delivery of the pencils to arrive to be able to finish your work. So that is all for this week's video. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next week for another video. Stay creative.